Receiving your refusal. Receive MedStar will be transported shortly.
Can I come in?
Yes, sir. Come on in. Lieutenant Grimm. Call me Sean.
Pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
I have to ask, what is your profession?
I'm a professional firefighter in Massachusetts.
And if you want to give us a little introduction about yourself.
Okay, my name's Sean Gray, 44 years old. I've been on the job 14 years. Army veteran, Iraq War. And I've always wanted to be a firefighter since I was a little kid.
It's every kid's dream, you know.
Isn't it?
And I have to say, I just had the coolest experience. I got to go with you in the truck. Why did you choose this as a profession?
I think a lot of us choose it out of a way to help people, and obviously something that's probably not quite right in our heads, that it kind of starts for an adrenaline rush and stuff like that with certain calls.
And I have to say thank you for your service. So you were in the Army, and then you moved into being a firefighter.
Yep.
Why the transition?
I felt like it was a pretty smooth transition, actually, because it's service to service. You know what I mean? It felt pretty seamless to me.
And you have family?
I do.
How does your kid look up to you? I mean, you have one of the coolest jobs there is. What do you usually hear from your kids when you come back home?
Well, to them, it's probably less cool because they're in here a lot. They come in here a lot. They see the trucks and stuff. So, they get used to it, and they don't hear any of the stories. They don't know a lot of the stuff we do. They're younger, so they don't need to hear most of that stuff, any of the bad stuff and the good stuff. So my sons are older, and they appreciate it.
If you want to share a little bit about, your experience. I mean, first of all, thank you for your service. You being in the Army, and then what's the coolest and the hardest part of being in the Army? And what's the coolest and the hardest part of being a fireman?
Best part about, and they're going to be similar, but I would say the best part about being in the service and serving the country is the camaraderie. That transitions a lot. That translates a lot into this job. So, as far as the Army goes, you're bunked up with fellow soldiers. Here, you're bunked up with fellow firemen. You know what I mean? You live with them, you eat with them, and that causes a cohesiveness that you just don't get anywhere else. You know what I mean? That, and whenever you go and your job is to possibly risk harm, or your friends to risk harm, it's going to make you tighter as a unit. You know what I mean? So you get that in the Army, and you get that here as well. The hardest part about the Army is definitely being away from family for long periods of time. And the hardest part here is seeing some of the things people have to live through, whether it be a death of a close family member.
For any younger person looking at, this interview and have aspirations to become a firefighter one day, what's the path like? What's the journey to become a firefighter?
So the path is, this is a civil service department in Massachusetts. The civil service is a test that you take, and you get certain preference points for veterans preference, residency preference. So you get residency preference. And in Leominster, you also get preference right now if you have your EMT, because they're looking to hire people that already have their EMT off the streets so that they don't have to wait during your probationary period. If you get that, they're able to work right away. Minimal educational requirements, is high school diploma. Most guys have more. A lot of guys have either some college up to masters. We have several people with masters. But it's literally, don't get arrested, have a clean record, graduate high school, and then take the test. For the test, and it's a lot of common sense, and then that starts your life of education within the job. Once you get hired, you have to go to a fire academy, which I believe is 10 or 11 weeks. And education never stops on this job. Or easy shit. It doesn't stop there because you're going to fall way behind from guys that learn every day. We have guys that work at the academy here. They're learning every day. So just to keep up, you have to self-educate.
Shauna, I have to ask you, what makes you happy in life? Why do you wake up every day and do what you do?
Got family that makes me the most happy and the most content in life. But being able to come to work and actually love coming to work is a huge help. And I would suggest everybody do something you love. Do something that's not work. You know what I mean? Do something that you love to go into every day if you can. I still come in downstairs every morning, put my stuff down, and I look around and I look at the fire trucks. And sometimes I have to touch them, just to make sure they're real. Like they're smooth, they're waxed, they're nice, and it's down here. You know what I mean? Because I would have loved to do this my whole life. So I was given the opportunity, luckily, by our chief 14 years ago, and never looked back.
What's been one of the biggest risks you've ever taken in your life, if you don't mind sharing that?
Well, I would say we all risk when we go into a house fire. There's so many unknowns. Regular run-of-the-mill house fire could be nothing. It could be anything, could be chemicals in there that we don't know about that burn and give off a toxic gas that we don't know about until we take our mask off. It could be a hazmat incident where we're going for a crashed tanker truck and we don't know exactly what it is till we get there. And what we do on those calls, though, is we get as close as we can when we have binoculars that we use to try to see a placard with a number, and then we use that number to go into a book to see what it is. But you have to get close enough to see that placard. So there's risk involved in all those types of calls.
Has there ever been a fire situation where you just was like, I'm not getting out of this, and it was just really, really scary?
Not yet. You try to train yourself and be aware so that you minimize those risks. There are times that can be difficult, and it can test your faith. Should never question your faith. Should test it, though. Never to the point where you question it. Just have faith that there's a plan for everything, and that can help during difficult times, during difficult losses. You know what I mean?
You have to talk about compensation. I think that in the state of the economy, a lot of people can get fixated on money and knowing that, well, I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to be able to, do things for other people. Do you feel like you're well compensated as a firefighter? And do you feel like, the state, the government, they're doing more for you as a firefighter?
I feel fairly compensated for what I do, yes. And that being said, I don't live outside of my means either. A lot of people, some people might complain about what they make, but then they're driving an $800 a month Mercedes. You know what I mean? So you have to live within your means. You should always spend far less than you make. And I've always been able to do that. So I haven't been, the money I make here is more than sufficient.
So I had a question on what's like a tradition or a ritual that you guys tend to do in the firehouse.
We're kind of doing it right here. The tradition of the kitchen table is sacred. So usually every morning, we will come in here and we'll have coffee together and we'll joke around, we'll bust chops and stuff like that. And then around 8:30, 9 o'clock, we do our chores. And then after that, we'll do the training that we have slated for the day, food shop, cook, eat together. And if everybody's in a good mood and it's not lazy enough, we try to sit down and watch a show or a football game together.
You look fit. This is a job that requires, there's a lot of physical part of this.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, how do you stay fit? What are you doing to really, take care of your physical and your mental health?
Physical and mental health. I'll start with physical. It's very important to stay physically fit here. I always think in my head, like, I don't ever want to look at somebody and say I couldn't save somebody because I wasn't physically fit enough. It's no excuse. There's no excuse for it. And for the most part, if you look around, most of us are pretty fit. So it's inexcusable to let yourself go to the point where you can. There are some that it happens. Now, you can't judge them because you don't know what they're going through in their personal life that may be leading to that. But I would say it's a goal for most of us to be physically fit. I go to the gym. I do jiu-jitsu for my cardio. But your mental health, you have to figure out what works for you, and that takes some time. What it definitely doesn't involve is going home and having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drinks alone. You know what I mean? Because some guys get caught up in that after that. whether it's hiking. Usually it's something physical, whether it's hiking, fishing, go somewhere calm, quiet in the woods, find whatever your outlet is to kind of have a mental wash and do that when you need to. And talk to, everybody on this group is my friend. I'm a lieutenant, I'm their boss, but I would also consider them my friends. As far as supporting me on the job, I think by this point, my daughters, I have twin daughters, they're 14. Juliana and Gabriella, my wife, I think they know when I come home after a bad call. We have wash machine and dryers here, so that if we have a really bad call, I'll wash clothes here. So my wife knows if I come home and I don't have any clothes for her to wash, that I probably washed them here, and why did I wash them here? You know what I mean? And she's learned to just kind of just wait. I'll talk about it if I want. Don't push. And if I'm a little crabby, it's because I didn't sleep, had a fire all night, had whatever type of call. And she is my rock for sure. Because if I had a wife that was like, why are you so grumpy? You know what I mean? It's not the support system, that's bad foundation. So I'm lucky.